So Roger, in your role, what do you do?
Well, Joel, I'm an Assistant Provincial Grand Master in the Masonic Province of South Wales. We have a Provincial Grand Master and I'm one of 4 assistants. And my job is to assist him in looking after and overseeing the over 160 lodges, private lodges in the province. They meet in Masonic halls spread from the east of Cardiff to Swansea, Llanelli, Neath, and as far north as Brecon and Builth Wells.
Okay, and from those meetings, how often do you meet, and what sort of happens within those meetings?
Well, every lodge will meet usually a minimum of 4 times a year, and it can be as often as 9, 10 or 11 times a year. Okay. During the ceremonies that we perform in those meetings are private, although, of course, if you go to any good bookshop or even look on the internet, you can usually see what goes on. And while we used to be known as a secret society, we're trying now to come out of our shell a little bit and to explain to people exactly what we do, although we still maintain some of the ancient secret modes of recognition, which are kept private.
Okay, and as part of the history of that, moving from a secret society to now a private society, to be more open, what does that entail?
Well, we are trying to encourage youngsters into our lodges and our meetings, and one of the ways that we're doing that is by joining in an initiative called the Universities Scheme. There's a lodge in Cardiff known as the Universities Lodge, which is one of the older lodges in Cardiff, which has formed a relationship with Cardiff University, and we have Singleton Lodge in Swansea, which has done the same thing with with Swansea University. The university scheme means that we can reduce the minimum age for membership from 21 to 18, and we also offer reduced membership fees, and we're encouraging people to join Freemasonry by appealing to them in the way in which they're used to communicating between themselves, by the use of social media, websites, and that sort of thing.
Okay, and how did you become a Freemason?
I became a Freemason because my father was a Freemason before me, and as was his father before him. I resisted the temptation for a number of years, and I didn't join until I was in my mid-30s. But I am what is known in Masonic circles as a Lewis, which is the son of a Freemason. And a Lewis will get preferential treatment, if you like. If there are 2 people joining a lodge, he will become the senior candidate. I joined many years ago. Okay. Too long ago to contemplate that.
And if I wanted to become a Freemason, how would I go about that?
Well, there are 2 ways. First of all, if you know somebody who's a Freemason, you can approach them and ask them if they wouldn't mind proposing you to their lodge. Or we have a provincial office in Newport Road, and if you make an approach to the provincial office, your details will be submitted to one of a number of private lodges. If you're based in Cardiff, it'll be a Cardiff lodge. Inquiries are made, I have to say. I mean, you can't just join the organisation without due inquiry being made as to your character. We try to restrict membership to worthy people. If you've got a criminal conviction, then you won't be considered. Otherwise, we try to be open and accessible to people. Okay.
And how many Freemasons are there in the South Wales?
In South Wales, there are about 6,000 Freemasons, but South Wales is only one of over 40 provinces across the country. And we estimate that there are about 250,000 Freemasons in England and Wales. There are other grand lodges administering Freemasonry in Scotland and in Ireland. And of course, across the world, there are many millions of Freemasons. It's the oldest fraternal secular society in existence.
Fantastic. And could you show me a Freemason handshake?
I could, but I won't. That is one of the secrets that we try to retain. The Freemasonry was formed in the 16th century by the then merchants and nouveau riche of the time, who wanted to encourage men to become better members of society. By and large, at that time, society was lawless and without direction, and they formed Freemasonry from the ethics practiced by the ancient craft Masonic guilds. And the ancient Masonic guilds used signs, secret signs and modes of recognition, so that when they were traveling between building projects in the Middle Ages, they were able to demonstrate their proficiency in their craft. We still retain those signs as a means of demonstrating how far a Mason has progressed through what we call craft Freemasonry. And they are secret to us, and we try not to disclose them to anybody.
Quiet. So where do you see Freemasonry going in the future?
Well, at the moment, Freemasonry is suffering from a reduction in numbers, in common with many other organizations. Society these days seems not to want to join clubs and societies. But we are appealing to the younger generation, as I said earlier, by using social media. We're trying to communicate with youngsters in the ways in which they communicate between themselves. And from my conversations with youngsters, particularly those who have joined Freemasonry, they're really interested in the pomp and the ceremonial of Freemasonry, and the fact that they can get together with like-minded people and mix socially after a lodge meeting. Generally speaking, they're very impressed with Freemasonry.
And in terms of the misconceptions of Freemasonry, how can you get that across?
Well, we've already talked about the misconception that it's a secret society. It's not. It's a private organization. We like to keep ourselves private. There's also a misconception that it's a religious organization, and it isn't. We accept people of any religion. In fact, I have been in lodges where there have been Sikhs and Muslims present, and we mix perfectly well in our lodge meetings. In fact, discussion on religious topics is banned from our meetings. And another misconception is that people join Freemasonry for material gain in business or in their private lives. And that is something which is also strictly frowned upon. In fact, it's stressed that if you want to become a Freemason, you should not do it for personal gain. In fact, Freemasonry has, as one of its core beliefs, charitable giving. We donate an awful lot of money to both Masonic and non-Masonic charities in this country. So I really want to get those misconceptions out of the way.
Definitely. And in terms of females joining Freemasonry, where does that stand?
Well, Freemasonry in the UK, administered by the United Grand Lodge of England, is restricted to men. It used to be over the age of 21, but now over the age of 18. But there are ladies' lodges in the UK. It's a separate order, a separate organisation, and there are several meeting in Cardiff. So if any lady wants to become a Freemason, it is open to them. The ceremonies are exactly the same as the ceremonies that we practice, and I'm sure they would be made very welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Roger.
It's a pleasure.